Resident Evil Reverse. I was about to say Resistance. I know y'all knew I was about to say that. Yeah, only reason why I was about to say it because Resident Evil Reverse is not as bad as Resident Evil Resistance, but it's bad because I don't think that this game's supposed to exist. Yes, it should be Xenoed from this universe. I should say this out of all respect for Resident Evil fans. As much as we wanted to experiment to see how it was, and now that we experimented with it, the beta, we don't need it. It's a fucking beta. We're alphas in this bitch. Resident Evil, single player, ultimate horror. Fuck this multiplayer shit. Why go multiplayer? See, everybody in the Resident Evil community says this. If y'all was going to go this route, why y'all ain't make an Outbreak? Why y'all did not make the Outbreak remake? Or the Resident Evil Outbreak, make at least like 2 chapters, or maybe 3 chapters, probably 4, and then we'll get the rest on DLC. And why is y'all giving this game away for free? Oh, I think I know why. Because ain't nobody going to buy that shit regularly. That shit should have came with Resident Evil 2 Remake DLC, along with Resident Evil 3 Remake DLC. How short that fucking game was. I watched a nigga beat that bitch within 50 fucking minutes. I watched a nigga speed run that shit in 50 minutes. I was like, oh, hell no. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with speed running because that tests your skills as a gamer. But for a nigga to beat that bitch in 50 minutes, 47 minutes, it let me know it's not a game that's enjoyable or has replay value. Fuck Resident Evil 3 Remake. Yeah, I said it. Fuck it. And fuck the motherfucking niggas that made it. Because they was outsourced developers. That's why we didn't have our bosses. That's why we didn't have our motherfucking areas that was supposed to be in there. So we like, fuck them. Now, back to this Resident Evil Reverse. Okay. It plays like Resident Evil 2 and 3. And you go around, you shoot each other, and you got to find these purple capsules. If you get like at least 2, if you die, you turn into either Nemesis or Super Tyrant. I think Jack Baker. We thinking that it's just like a regular shooter, but it's like if you die, you turn into a motherfucking BOW. It's like, no. Why did y'all make this? And then I had a small theory that came to my head. Maybe they created this game because Resident Evil 8, because it's coming with Resident Evil 8 when you buy it. So we buy Resident Evil 8, you get this motherfucker Resident Evil Reverse. Wonder if, and I don't want to motherfucker say this, I hope it's not true, but what if they made this Reverse because Resident Evil 8 is really a short game? Think about it. Now, I don't want to think about it. I don't want to be like, damn, Resident Evil 8 might be a short game. Most of the games has been short. Great graphics, but short. So, what if it's like this? Or maybe, what if it's this? What if it's this? What if some developers was just on some side project shit? Like, yo, let's all turn Resident Evil into a motherfucking multiplayer and just play it amongst ourselves. And show it to the developer. If he like it, then he might give it to the game or some shit. I don't know. Maybe it was that. Maybe this Resident Evil Reverse was a side project that motherfucking developers was playing on the low. The head developer saw that shit. Like, yo, let's do that shit. Maybe. I don't know. But I don't like it. Resident Evil is not meant to be multiplayer. Unless you creating the Outbreak. Outbreak was good because it was a storyline within the multiplayer. You know what I'm saying? So, what do y'all think about this new Resident Evil Reverse? Do y'all like it? I understand that motherfucking, developers want this multiplayer shit to be all cool. It's all multiplayer this, multiplayer that. You need to go online, motherfucker. microtransaction for life type shit. So who knows? But like, all I know is Resident Evil Reverse is not meant to be made. I think it's just some shit for kids. You know what I'm saying? Like give it to the kids that like Resident Evil or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Like they can play this without playing the real survival horror, I guess. I'm not really sure why they made this. It don't really make no sense. But I am going to get that Resident Evil 8. Nigga, I am getting that. I need to see how that game rolls. Because it stopped being scary after Resident Evil 6. As much as people don't like Resident Evil 6, I like Resident Evil 6. Resident Evil 6 is pretty good because it ends off the story of everybody's character. You know what I'm saying? If you look at the Resident Evil series from a story and dialogue perspective, Resident Evil 6 is a good game. Look at it from a story perspective. It all started off as a contained outbreak. Resident Evil 0 on the train. Resident Evil 1, mansion. It was contained. Resident Evil 2, viral outbreak in the city. In the city. Okay? Just one little city. After 2, we got 3. It talks about Jill. A couple, like a day before Leon gets there, then a couple days after. We still in Raccoon City. Now, after the Raccoon City incident, the fucking virus get outsourced or transferred or somebody stole some shit. And now we in Resident Evil 4 with the Las Plagas. So now we in another country where another motherfucker is called the Los Illuminados is trying to take over the world. Now, the virus is still kind of contained, but it's not because now the virus has left the country. You got to look at it at a story perspective. Now, we go to Resident Evil 5 and find out where the virus comes from. It comes from Africa. This is a motherfucking plant. The progenitor virus. So now we fight some motherfuckers in the African village, and then going off to some other shit. Then we fight the boss of bosses in the volcano, Wesker. Then we got Resident Evil 6. After we went to Africa, after we motherfucking did all this, now the United States, Russia, and China, the 3 superpowers of the world, has released the virus. The head of the motherfucker that did it is the head of our country, the NSA. So, it may not be scary, it's full of action, but in reality perspective, if the whole world is under an outbreak, everybody is scared, just like everybody is scared now with this the goddamn COVID. Black Alex Jones here, Infowars.com. They're giving people COVID. So yeah, so think about it. Everybody's scared now, and there is no zombies. But there's a virus out here. But in Resident Evil 6, nigga, the whole world is motherfucking infected now. So, we have to look at it in a story perspective. That's why Resident Evil 6 was good, because it went from a contained outbreak to a worldwide outbreak. But when it comes to this Resident Evil Reverse, I don't like it because y'all should have just made Outbreak, Outbreak was the shit. Online, multiplayer, survival horror, everything is still scary. You're still progressing through the story. It was great. It was fucking great. So, give me y'all opinion on what y'all think about this Resident Evil Reverse. And if y'all haven't seen it, look up Resident Evil Reverse beta test. It's your boy Hurricane give you some gaming hood news. Peace.